In a small, picturesque village nestled between rolling hills and a tranquil river, there lived an old man named Charles. Charles had always been a stubborn soul, and as the years advanced, his obstinacy only grew stronger. He was a man who had seen a great deal in his lone life, from the days of his youth when he courted the love of his life to his years as a seasoned farmer. One fateful winter's day, the village was blanketed with a thick layer of snow, and Charles, despite his advanced age, insisted on clearing his path to the barn. His children, and even his grandchildren, urged him to stay inside where it was warm and safe, but Charles would hear none of it. He grabbed a shovel and marched out into the cold, leaving his concerned family behind. Hours passed, and Charles did not return. Worried, his family ventured out into the snow-covered landscape to search for him. What they found was heart-wrenching. Charles lay motionless in the snow, his shovel resting beside him. The villagers, with heavy hearts, gathered around, realizing that their beloved Charles had drawn his final breath. As the news of his passing spread throughout the village, people came to pay their respects. His family, who had grown to love Charles despite his stubborn ways, wept bitterly. They prepared for a proper burial, but they couldn't help but notice something peculiar. Charles in death appeared no different from when he was alive. His skin was still ruddy from the cold, his eyes held the same glint of determination, and there was no sign of decay. Whispers of an unsettling nature began to circulate the village. Some believed Charles was not truly dead, and that his stubborn spirit had refused to leave his body. They said that he was holding on, as always, to prove his point. The village buzzed with rumors, and people started to avoid the cemetery at night, fearing that Charles might rise from his grave. Charles, on the other hand, lay there in the darkness, convinced that he was not dead at all. He heard the voices of his family, the wails of the mourners, and the distant sound of the church bells. He refused to accept the reality that he had passed away, as his determination remained unyielding even in death. Months passed, and still Charles showed no signs of decay. His family grew increasingly distraught, and the villagers' unease deepened. They finally decided to consult the village elder, a wise woman who was known for her knowledge of ancient traditions and remedies. The elder arrived at the cemetery and stood before Charles's unchanging form. She carefully examined him, then knelt down and whispered a few incantations. The wind rustled, the earth shifted, and at last Charles began to feel the unmistakable signs of decay. It started as a subtle crumbling of his skin, and the sweet scent of decay filled the air. Charles realized that he was indeed dead, and the truth washed over him like a cold wave. He had been clinging to life with every ounce of stubbornness within him, but nature had its way. With a deep sigh, Charles finally accepted his fate. His spirit, still lingering, watched as his body succumbed to the inevitable. The villagers, witnessing the transformation, knew that Charles had at last found peace. They buried him with reverence and gratitude for the lessons he had taught them, even in his stubbornness. But as the days passed, an eerie atmosphere began to pervade the village. Strange occurrences were reported. Unexplained shadows that moved at night, whispers that filled the wind, and chilling apparitions of Charles that seemed to roam the cemetery. People began to have nightmares, haunted by the image of Charles's stubborn spirit refusing to let go of life. rumors grew darker. Some villagers claimed they had seen Charles's ghostly form lurking near his grave, still shoveling snow and muttering to himself about the stubbornness of death. Fearful and unnerved, the villagers sought the help of the village elder once more. She returned to the cemetery, now deeply concerned. With great trepidation, she performed a series of rituals to soothe Charles's restless spirit. The night was filled with incantations, candles, and the smell of burning sage. Slowly, the strange happenings ceased, and peace returned to the village. Charles's spirit, now finally at rest, was released from its stubborn insistence on life. The village went on with its daily life with the memory of Charles's eerie defiance, serving as a reminder that even in death, some battles must be surrendered. The story of Charles and the sinister turn it took would be recounted by the village's storytellers for generations, a tale of stubbornness that transcended the boundary between life and death. However, years later, as the village prepared to lay another beloved elder to rest, a sudden chill filled the air. Mourners looked toward Charles's grave, and, to their astonishment, they saw an inscription etched into the gravestone. It read, "I was never truly gone, Charles." The strange twist left the villagers in shock and disbelief, and the legend of Charles took on an even more mysterious and enigmatic dimension. Some believed his spirit had somehow returned to leave this message, while others dismissed it as a bizarre, unexplainable occurrence. Regardless, the tale of Charles continued to haunt the village, leaving them with unanswered questions about the mysteries of life, death, and stubbornness beyond the grave.
Thank you for visiting Raven Woods. If you've enjoyed our explorations, don't forget to subscribe and like, and ring that notification bell so you never miss an episode. Stay curious, stay daring, and keep wandering those winding paths of curiosity. We will see you in the shadows.